What if I'm to tell you that the government, according to the Ninth Circuit, can mandate that you put cameras in your home that record not only video but audio? That's exactly what they just did if you decide to run a home FFL. So we're going to go ahead and talk about it and break it down because I think this decision is a travesty. Hey, Wolverines, how you doing? My name is John Crump. I'm an investigative journalist, and the guy that you can't see his face right now is a guy named Flying Rich who happens to fly planes sometimes, but not recently.
Hey, Crumpy.
Today we're going to be talking about a decision out of a 3-judge panel on the Ninth Circuit. The case is Richards versus Newsom. It was just published less than an hour ago, and I had a chance to read through all 73 pages of it. And this
Sorry to hear that, Crump.
Yeah, this deals with Penal Code 26008. It was a bill that was passed, and it was effective January 1st, 2024. That bill was SB 1384. And basically what it does, it requires every California FFL, whether they are a brick and mortar store or a home business, which is important, to run a 24/7 digital video service that also records audio in the premise. The cameras must cover the entries, exits, display areas, point of sales, and they have to be able to clearly identify people and at least run at, wow, look here, at least run at 15 frames per second. And they must store the footage for 1 year, and they must post signs that are obvious that says your conversations are being recorded.
Can this follow the IRS email rules for keeping emails and backups, or is that a no? The lowest learner IRS email rules do not apply to this.
We're going to stick to guns today.
Oh, okay.
So basically, and the police can access this whenever the police can access this, so they can access your conversations and everything else. And remember, this is not only brick and mortar stores, but this is also home FFLs. So let's say Dark, who's joining us. How you doing, Dark?
Evening. Well, afternoon. I was going to say evening.
Well,
hey, I see you out there, bud. I didn't forget about you, by the way. Sorry, continue.
Let's say Dark is a FFL.
I'm not, but yes, let's say it.
And he lived in California, and he was going to do business out of his home. He would have to put cameras on every entryway, wherever he keeps the guns at, where he does the point of sales at, and it will be recording 24/7 audio and video. Not only that, but Dark would have to pay for everything. So the legislature basically said that they did this because of theft, right?
Sure, safety. In the name of safety, right?
Rich, you can add yourself back in whenever you're ready. So what happened? Brick and mortar FFLs, which is like whatever, and 2 home-based FFLs, including Richards, who was a home-based FFL in California, teamed up with Gun Owners of America, Gun Owners of California, CRPA, and Second Amendment Foundation to sue. They claimed that the recordings violated the First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendment. The Second Amendment claims were dropped. The district court dismissed the case under Rule 12, Section B, subsection 6, and this led the appeal. And it went to a 3-judge panel. A 3-judge panel, Coe and D'Alba was the judges that ruled for it, and there was a dissent by Lee in part, and they dismissed the case. So you guys want to hear what the reasoning is?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay. So recordings by the dealer is it not itself a government search. There's no physical intrusion by the state.
Hold on. I know there's an amendment about this. I know there's a constitutional amendment. I'm really sure there's a constitution. Hold on. Pocket
Sounds familiar.
Constitution.
Let's
Huh.
see. I think
No government acquisition of the data. Dealers are not transformed into state actors by being required to keep cameras. But Judge Lee inspection theory was rejected on 3 grounds. So Judge Lee was like, hey, you can't do this. This is unconstitutional.
Why don't they just make it easy and, law enforcement can just, surveil all FFLs 24/7 with
Why
audio,
don't
video
they just
surveillance,
have
phone
them
tabs?
put beds in apartments in for redcoats to
Like
live
Third
on
Amendment,
their
yeah.
property?
Mm.
I mean,
Let's get so Judge Lee's inspection theory was rejected. They said that section 26806 does not authorize. So basically, Judge Lee said that it doesn't authorize inspections. Even if it was, the statute of facility under New York versus Bruin, because it limits who may inspect it. So basically, they're saying that since there's only a limited number of people that can inspect the recordings, that it's a-okay.
is that kind of like, if only a limited group of people could sit at the front of the bus, sitting at the back of the bus is not an issue?
Well, you would think that the home FFLs would be able to,
I got a solution to this. It's called invitation only gay sex party with wine and cheese daily at my FFL.
Okay, Rich, that's interesting. Moving on.
Interesting take.
So basically the 2 home-based FFLs, they were dismissed for lack of standing.
No. How could you not have lack of standing by not wanting redcoats in your premises?
Because they said the searches have not occurred, and there's no evidence that they're imminent. So because no one viewed their stuff.
This is absurd.
Okay, the Fifth Amendment claim, they say, is not a physical taking. Because the dealers own and install the equipment. The government does not occupy the premises. Because they're making you pay for everything. Hey, that's not a takings clause. And, it's heavily regulated industry. And there's investment-backed expectations. So the compliance cost of this, on average, would cost like $17,000.
So, I mean, are there any rules like this for gynecologist offices? I mean, we need to make sure nothing gets stolen out of a gynecologist's office, right?
No, they're too busy increasing the number of abortion clinics to worry about gynecologists.
All right, let's just stick with guns. Okay. So basically, they're also saying that this is a public safety regulation and not a physical invasion.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So therefore, the Fifth Amendment claims fail.
I recall one of the founders actually quoting something specifically about those that are willing to compromise on their freedoms for safety. But here we are, 2026.
All right, now let's get to the First Amendment claims. Because they're saying that it fails because it doesn't punish or regulate speech. It also fails because the anonymity claim fails because no one must identify themselves, even though the law says that the cameras have to be placed so the people can be readily identified. Thank you, Sainty Designs.
Good to see you, man. Miss you.
Coop.
Association fails because the membership is not compelled. I guess you can give up your FFL.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could just
I'm
destroy your business and withdraw all your
I'm
time,
okay.
energy,
Can
and
we do
money
the
into
same
it.
thing for these politicians' offices and homes?
APAC.
The chilling falls under Laird versus Tenham and Clapper because the subjective fear that the state might someday misuse the footage is not enough. A person of ordinary
The flock
firmness,
cameras have never been misused.
a person of ordinary firmness would not reasonably expect adverse government action given the statute's access limitations.
Mm-hmm.
Lee also put a right to receive and exchange information. That Lee was the judge that dissented. The majority declined his adoption of the right to receive information theory because the plaintiffs did not raise it in the cited case. So like, oh, we don't have to take this other violation that's clearly there because we rejected all the other violations. So we're not going to even deal with that, even though they would find a way around that anyway. So you want to get into Lee's dissent?
Sure.
Yeah.
Lee basically he held that continuous audio recordings violates the First Amendment to receive and exchange political information, because he says that gun shops, rightfully so, are hub of 2A discussions, and that the government mandating a year long of audio and video recording will inhibit speech. He also said that video may help identify thieves, but audio, in his view, had no serious law enforcement justification. And it really doesn't. The whole audio thing is just them trying to screw with us.
Tyrant being tyrants.
He also said that, the whole entire scheme violates the Fourth Amendment as applied to home-based FFLs. There's no time or place limit, so agents could theoretically enter a home at any hour to check the system, because you do have to allow them to come in and check the system.
So the right of the people to be secure their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, in particularly describing the place to be searched and persons or things to be seized.
See, you're more so talking about amendment like 4.5, right? It's not clearly defined in your Fourth Amendment. So don't worry about being, secure in your, property documents effects.
Well, Lee pointed to because the daycare or home daycares, daycares have to be able to be inspected, right? In California. So there was originally the law said they can inspect them at any time, but there was a case called Rush versus Oblito, and that knocked down that home daycare inspection. You can be inspected at any time. And he said that's analogous to what's going on with FFLs, but the majority disagreed.
Is there I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The majority disagreed and they said that.
Okay.
So, is there a constitutional amendment to daycare, or I can't recall?
Yeah, but the panel leaves the California 24/7 video and audio FFL surveillance requirement in place.
But so there we go. There's no Third Amendment challenge on this?
No.
Because that seems to be a slam dunk in my book. That would be First Amendment, okay.
But they said if the plaintiffs, if like the home FFLs get searched, then they can come back and file a future challenge.
Just throwing this out there, Rich. Most Americans don't know anything beyond their First and Second Amendment. Just
Right.
so remember.
Yeah, Third Amendment is basically the Quartering Act. It basically said what the British were doing during the years leading up to the Revolutionary War is they were pitting people like soldiers and people's homes, making them quarter them. And the reason why they were doing that isn't because the British soldiers needed a place to sleep. They were doing that so they could monitor.
Because they didn't have video cameras with continuous
Yeah,
recording.
they were doing that to monitor the actions and speech of the people that live in the home. And that's why the Third Amendment came. And this is basically California acting as redcoats and pitting people in homes and recording everything that you say and do. But yeah, I think it's ridiculous. One of the things I think is really ridiculous is they're like, well, you know, no one must identify themselves, but in the law it says that the cameras must be in a position so people could be easily identified. So, what happens now? A couple things can happen now. The plaintiffs can file for an en banc, which means the full bench would hear the case. Now, California is a little bit different when they do the en banc compared to every other circuit. Every other circuit has 16 judges, and the full 16 judges hear the case, right? California has more judges than any other circuit, so a number of random judges are put on the en banc to hear the case. So that is a possibility. Another possibility is, since the Ninth Circuit is so anti-gun, they can just skip the whole thing and file for what's called a writ of certiorari. And in a writ of certiorari, what they do is they petition the Supreme Court to hear the case. Now, the Supreme Court won't necessarily hear the case. In fact, only 1% of the cases that file for a writ of certiorari is actually granted. I don't know what they're going to do, but I think the Ninth Circuit really got this wrong. So,
agreed.
I think the chances of the Supreme Court actually taking this case is higher than the 1%, which is the average.
I'm stunned. I am stunned. First off, I'm just shocked that the Third Amendment wasn't put into play here. But yes, I mean, just like we have with flock cameras, that police are getting fired for tracking women on a regular basis, even women tracking men's
ex-girlfriends, yeah. I mean,
this is rampant, and
it's not like human beings are known to be corrupt and misuse things like that.
Yeah. So I applaud the Second Amendment because it talked about keeping and bearing arms. It didn't say muskets or flintlocks or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it just says, hey man, you can't keep redcoats in people's homes. That's not cool. It didn't say why. It should really, the Third Amendment is a right to privacy that unfortunately in 2026, we do not recognize that as a right to privacy in your home.
Yeah, with the flock cameras and stuff like that. Also, this law in California, we're becoming a surveillance state. We're already a surveillance state, to tell you the truth, but we're becoming a dystopian society of mass surveillance.
Yeah,
and I can't get behind that.
Not at all.
There's a print, you can print a hood for the flock camera and a thing to go on the end of the broomstick to apply it there.
Yeah, there was a guy in Pennsylvania that cut down a flock camera. They got him on video and everything, caught him red-handed, and the grand jury refused to indict.
God bless him.
Jury nullification. Basically, they said, we don't believe in flock, so we're not indicting.
Dude,
I looked up. There's one like just down the road from my church. Like you can see people pulling into the church driveway. I'm like, huh, wonder why that's there.
Yeah. So, well, we'll have to see what goes on, but this is a bad decision. We're gonna have to see what the plaintiffs do, whether they appeal or just go en banc. We can appeal to the Supreme Court, file for writ of certiorari, or go en banc. I don't know. I'm sure that they're probably having the discussions as we speak. I don't know anything on the internal, but I can imagine that the discussions are going, but I don't know which way they're going to go. We're going to
So
have to wait and see.
the financial costs. I'm just thinking about this. So you have to have like the entry, exit, cash register. You have to have like 4 cameras,
and plus storage.
24/7 for 365 days of
Yeah.
storage.
It's going to run you around $17,000.
That so what they call the NVR, the network video recorder, is going to have to be a pretty beefy drive.
what a lot of people don't understand, especially people not in the business, is that most companies are let's take the home FFLs out of it, which in my opinion is a massive piece of this, but let's just say taking the home FFLs out of it and let's just talk about the brick and mortar guys, okay? They're making $50 to $75 on average per firearm transaction. What are they going to do having to pay another $12, $15, $17, $20,000 a year? And what if they have to put additional cameras? Think about like places like XCal, 100,000 square feet with paperwork stations and all that. They may have to put dozens and dozens of other cameras up. Who knows? I mean, this could be 2 terabytes a quarter, right? Like this is
It's probably be more than that because they got to record at least 15 frames.
Yeah, it's
and
ridiculous.
audio too.
It's absurd. And this is exactly what we were warned about hundreds of years ago when we were told to not compromise on freedom, liberty, and independence for perceived safety. This is stupid and gay.
Yeah. And right now, if you guys don't know, storage is insanely expensive right now because of the AI boom.
Well, yeah, I mean, like 5 to 10% profit on like a $500 gun would be like, $50 or so. It just depends because some guns are factoring in like accessories and stuff. So I'm just ballparking it, but
Yeah, Glocks are notoriously low margins.
yeah. And usually if you get like, I forgot the number, like 7 to 10 somewhere, you get a free one. And then, kind of brings down the cost of them.
So basically, yeah, they would have to install like a NAS system, which
is more money.
It's more money, and a lot of people don't know how to do it. So you're probably gonna have to hire someone to come in and do like a whole NAS or SAN or whatever to do it. And then you're gonna have to have multiple drives and run them. It's shitty.
Things like this, it just makes me think about things.
Bruin flight. How is this not a Fourth Amendment violation? I think it is, and I think that these guys just hate guns. The point of this is not to stop gun robberies. The point of this is to make it expensive and intrusive to discourage people from opening up FFLs.
Who honestly, I mean, it's nearly impossible to have like a home FFL in California anyway. It's almost impossible to get a handgun permit in half of the state. They're trying to make it as difficult as possible and discourage those. Dude, you need to have your ID and have a background check for ammunition, right? Like they're not exactly the beacon of freedom. And I commend people that wanted to stay and fight in California. And you guys need to take over your state straight up. Now, I'm not going to sit here and call for violence to be committed against the government because that would be insane to say something like that on a live stream. I'm not saying that violence is the answer.
No,
I'm not.
Yeah, there's a lot of things we need to do before you get there. like I said, I think this case has a good chance, a better chance than average of being taken up by the Supreme Court, just because what it encompasses. And this is one of the cases where I think that if it does go to the Supreme Court, it would be probably like a 9-0 or 8-1 decision.
Yeah.
If it's obvious. It's obvious. So we're gonna have to see what exactly happens here. But it really would suck.
Stifler says camera costs would be $8,000. Then storage could be around $50,000. Server hardware could be upwards of $12,000. All that for a small business. You know what? Maybe the feds should put out some crazy grant federal loan, and then every single person start an FFL and pull out a $100,000 loan for security systems, and then just get a bunch of Ring doorbells all over your. I'm just kidding.
Well, Ring doorbell wouldn't even qualify because it has to be 24/7 recording, not motion sensor recording. It has to record. That's what a lot of people don't understand is like
we're talking like wired security with computer backup and
the thing is
record motion, and then the next tier is object identification, so people, cars, animals, that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, this would be it's continuous recording, so it's not even like motion triggered recording. It's continuous. That's what eats up the space.
Mm-hmm.
But 90% of your recording is going to be just like a room with no one in it, empty.
Nothing. Somali FFLs, dude. We need some Leering Center FFLs.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to see. But that's it. Just wanted to inform you of what's going on, and just get out of here.
Yeah, unfortunately, Betamax wouldn't qualify.
We would have to switch out the videotape a lot. But we're going to get out of here. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Check out DLD After Dark over on Rumble. Check out Flying Rich and Flying Rich Firearms on YouTube. And like, comment, and subscribe. There's tons of ways to support the channel down below. And hopefully we'll be bringing some good news. Actually, I got some inside information that mark your calendar for 9 days from now, guys. I don't know if it's 9 business days or 9 days, but just mark your calendar for 9 days.
Could it be good news or just news?